Oh hey, I didn't see you there. Welcome to Dean's Random Thoughts of the Night. I wrote them down because it's what I do. I like writing stuff. Anyway, welcome and enjoy. How do you feel? An ironic lesson to have as a final class plan before I run off to surgery. How do you feel? A better question, how do you explain such a complicated arrangement of neurons firing in your brain that admittedly everyone claims to not really be able to fully describe, and to a toddler? Sure, you could argue to just understand the basics, but there isn't truly anything basic about it. You can have more than one emotion firing about one or a multitude of different things, or even worse, about nothing at all. Too complex for my brain to wrap into an explanation, let alone force a 1-year-old to understand the ask, how do you feel? Truth is, no one the fuck knows how they feel. You ever ask somebody, how you feeling? You get one of 3 responses, or a variant of these 3 responses. 1, the generic, good, you. 2, the question, good. Or 3, the negative, I'm awful. All in which never really go into a meaningful conversation because the question, how are you feeling, is out of politeness and not out of care or any understanding that it might be a deeper answer than good. I wish I had the power to change the way the generic group of societal humans perceive the question, but I'm not really at any power of importance to rewire the society into acknowledging the depth of the how do you feel question. It would not only take hundreds of years, but it would have to take every cog in this meaningless wheel of life to rotate in the same direction. One broken little piece can set the machine off its roll. And yes, this is where you can try to argue, well, can't it be said about the opposite scenario where you, as the depth cog, can swing the generic wheel off its roll? No. And my response is simple, because, psychologically speaking, the mind processes negative for a much longer period of time. Therefore, if I try to spin the world on its ass in an attempt to get everyone to understand the mundane lack of understanding for one another, it's easily masked by the overshadowment of the disacknowledgement that is the truth of our society. Besides, me, myself, am just as imperfect and wired into the society's regulations that I am guilty of everything I accuse the world of. Anyone asks me, how are you feeling? 90% of the time, I give the generic answer that is expected of me, because what's the point? I attempt, of course, with my closest friends to be as honest about my feelings and where my stance is, so that it's only fair that they can have an expectation of the moods and reactions that follow. But again, as imperfect as I am, I admittedly fall short most of the time. Anyway, that's just me rambling about nothing, and part of it's right, part of it's wrong. Nothing really has a point. You can agree, you can disagree. I even agree more with some of the points that I make rather than other points that I make. If you want to openly discuss some conversational shit, I'm always open. I love deep conversations. Anyway, have a nice night. I will see you guys eventually in the future whenever I see you. Okay, goodbye. Anyway.